Despite our outer success, there's no amount of outer success that will really do the internal work. You know, the questions of why am I here, or what do I want to create, or who am I, what do I want to leave behind, are much deeper questions than what do other people expect of me.
Welcome to the Business Transition Roadmap. My name is Elizabeth Ledoux, and through my years, I have seen how communities thrive when business succession and transition are done well. Me and my team at the Transition Strategists have been helping business owners develop and implement transition strategies for over 30 years. And on this show, we want to help you by giving you the roadmap to a healthy business transition. Let's get started.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Business Transition Roadmap. I'm Elizabeth Ledoux, and today I am so excited to have Jeff Munn here with us. He has been a speaker to some of my groups in the past, and he just has a wealth of knowledge that I'm so happy he's going to be sharing with you today. Jeff works with founders and business owners who've already won on paper. But they still feel like there's something more to do or more to be. And his background, he's a lawyer, he's a consultant, he's an executive, had this great career where he checked off all the boxes and then realized that the biggest victories really still can leave people being stuck. So I'm just here to welcome Jeff. Jeff, maybe we start with you telling a little bit about you that maybe I didn't share, and then we'll go from there. So welcome.
Yeah, Elizabeth, it's been a while since we were together last, so it's good to see you. And I think you hit the highlights. I think one thing for me, as I've gone through my own version of this, success on paper, or doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do and then I was going to be happy, is despite our outer success, there's no amount of outer success that will really do the internal work. You know, the questions of, why am I here, or what do I want to create, or who am I, what do I want to leave behind, are much deeper questions than what do other people expect of me. And I know for the first 4 or 5 decades of my life, I was really good at figuring out what the people around me that I wanted, but not very good at figuring out what I wanted. So I think that's probably the place that you and I overlap in terms of how we work with people, and probably a good place to start here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's so interesting to be able to make that shift that you talk about that internal work, and really understanding what you want and where you want to go. So how did you come into doing this kind of work? What was your aha that you said, I've got to do this?
Well, it came gradually, in terms of the coaching work that I do with founders and that kind of thing. That was probably, 25, 30 years in the making. I think the first initial aha for me was probably when I was in law school. And, I had been a very good student and had, checked all the boxes and had graduated with highest honors and had straight A's in high school and all that stuff. And in law school, I started realizing, I am surrounded by people. I went to the University of Chicago, so it was a very, top law school, very competitive. And I realized there are people around me who are just way beyond what I'm ever going to be. And I was used to thinking, if I just work hard enough, I'll come out on top. And that was the first time where I really realized it's no, that's not a viable strategy. And I kind of didn't know what to do with that. And I started, related to this or not, and they may be two independent things, but I started having panic attacks. And I started feeling, really, I mean, it probably would have been diagnosed as social anxiety if we had that kind of terminology at the time. I mean,
Back
this
then.
was like the early mid '90s.
Yeah, does that tell us how old we are?
Yeah, coming out of law school
wait
into
a
the
minute.
world, and yeah, I mean, mental health was just not. You just sucked it up. I mean, it wasn't a thing.
That's right.
And I remember conversations in my family around, oh, well, did you hear about so and so? He went to a shrink. Like that was like,
oh
my gosh, what's wrong with this person? Yeah.
I know.
And so I started figuring out, what can I do with these panic attacks? And I started things like exercise and found some things that helped. And so at the time I was in Chicago and Phil Jackson was coaching the Bulls and they were winning all their championships. And he was just beginning to talk about teaching his players meditation. And I had kind of a curiosity, my wife at the time and I had just been to Thailand and there was some kind of Buddhism adjacent. So I'm going to explore this. And it worked. I mean, I started meditating when my wife, right after she got pregnant with my now soon to be 29-year-old daughter. So that's how far back my meditation.
Long time.
And she was very exhausted during pregnancy and she started going to bed early and I started just meditating a few minutes before watching TV at night. And 9 months later, I had a daily meditation habit. And I stuck with it. And over time I noticed, I'm actually paying more attention to the person in front of me than the monologue going on in my head about what the person, about the person in front of me. My stress level went way down. I changed jobs. I saw that being at a law firm was not going to be the long-term thing for me. And it was kind of controversial at the time because I was on the partner track and when you were on the partner track, you didn't leave a law firm. That was kind of unheard of.
That's right.
But I trusted my own intuition and I became partner at a consulting firm that later went public. And I think in the 15 years that I was there, I had 8 different jobs. I just kept, not because I was like grinding and striving, but just because I was interested, I kept getting these bigger jobs. Yeah. And at some point in there, I started going on like meditation retreats and working with teachers and discovering this thing called coaching because one of the teachers that I was working with had worked with a fairly prominent coach. And I started working with him and kind of within his world and just discovering that, oh, wow, you can actually help people change pretty quickly just by being tuned into them and asking the right questions. And that really hooked me. That was probably 2010, 2012 when I kind of got the inkling like, oh, this is something I'd like to do. I kept not doing it for a while. I kept not leaving my corporate job. And then 2016, I was at Fidelity Investments the last 5 years of my corporate career. And they laid me off in a restructuring, me and 150 or so VPs and up got our notice the same day, including my boss. And that's when I decided, okay, I think I'm going to give this coaching thing a try. And
nice.
Yeah.
That's a great story. And sometimes it's those little trigger points that happen to us that actually push us over the edge and, really set you on the next path that's going to be great for you. So, when you work with people, I guess what I'd love to know is you talk to them about, I guess I'll just open that question. You talk to them about what? About what they still want to do and how they want to be, but there's something more for them. So how do you get them to kind of dive into that and see that?
Yeah. I mean, every situation is a little bit different. Everyone's struggling with something different. I'm working with people as they're building their businesses, and I'm also working with people after they exit their businesses. So obviously the things that are showing up are different depending on where they are. But a lot of times it shows up, whatever the thing is, the insight that they're going to have or the thing that we're going to work on. It doesn't even show up in the talking. It shows up in the silence. So one of the things that I will do when I'm starting to work with someone is we'll take a couple days, we'll get them out of their daily environment, out of the normal routine, out of the people, the situations, the phone, the laptop, whatever, take them away and just walk around and chat. And at some point, I mean, I've done this 10 or 12 times, 2-day retreats one-on-one, and I've done it in a group as well. But there will be a point, often it's on the first day, where the person looks at me and says, "Oh, I don't need to blah, blah, blah." And it's this, I don't need to be so hard on myself. Or, "Oh, I'm actually not afraid of that." Or, "Oh, I'm actually thinking too small."
Yeah.
Or, "Oh, I thought this was about my business and it was actually about my relationship."
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell them what that is.
No,
But
they have to discover it.
I can clear out enough noise that it becomes easier for them to discover.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so insightful, I think, for all of us, because I think, Jeff, especially in these times with our watches buzzing and our phones buzzing and the notifications that we're getting and even just your day-to-day habit, right? Of your day-to-day habits, because the entrepreneurial people that I know who are highly successful are also usually pretty disciplined.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty disciplined in their lives, and they have a pattern that's been successful. And so, taking that time to reflect and get out of the noise, I can see how valuable that would be for anybody.
Yeah, I mean, think about what our culture tells us about things like productivity and efficiency and, like there's always more to do, and we evaluate ourselves and other people on how busy they are. It used to be you said something to someone, it's like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you'd say, "Fine." And now you say, "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, "Oh, busy." This kind of humble brag. Like, I know I'm not supposed to be this busy, but I'm kind of proud that I am,
Yeah. Because it fills my time, and it makes me, being busy is it's a place of attention.
Right.
Yes.
And people, in some ways it can be an avoidance strategy too. If I'm busy, I don't have time to think about things that make me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Because we can kind of cover it, bury it.
Yeah, I'll get to that when things
not worry
cool
about
off
it
a little bit. Yeah, and that could be stuff in the business too. Like, I've got this CFO that I really need to fire because she doesn't fit in with the culture or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh well, if I can just get to the end of this quarter, then it'll be a good time. Or if I can just do this, or if I can just do that. It's like, no, like when you slow down,
Well, the next move, and you can have the courage in a way to take a look at it and to do something about it because you make time.
Right.
You make that time work. So This sounds like the journey to understand what's next for you, and maybe even not a to-do item, but also how to be, right? Because that's the other piece.
Absolutely.
It's all about discovery and basically taking the time to do that. Is that your thought in this?
Yeah, and I think there's a misconception in there that I have to use the words take the time. Like I have to be able to clear the space out and, put these things aside and whatever. And if, for most people, if I get them to slow down a little bit, what they discover is they're not nearly as busy as they thought they were. That they're in more of a fight or flight mode where they're thinking about the same 10 or 12 things over and over again. And so the busy mind convinces them that they're actually busier than they are. That if they're able to slow down, yeah, there's still a ton to do, but it becomes really clear, oh, I need to do this thing next. And then I need to do this thing.
Yeah. And even just in your voice, I can feel the calm, confident ease of all of that versus the, putting off, not dealing with, and the chaos of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can tell pretty quickly when you're talking with someone. If they're like real up here and they're talking real fast and the breathing shallow, it's like, okay, let's take a minute.
How many of us have all been there?
Oh, every day I have times when I'm like that. Yeah, it's like there's no, I'm not immune to this.
Oh, yeah. I don't think any human being would be. Yeah. Absolutely. So as we wander through, at the Transition Strategists, we deal a lot with families and a lot with legacy, interactions with, different generations. And a lot of the focus is we help owners and successors build out their transition roadmaps. They're trying to figure out from where they are today, how to get to where they want to be tomorrow and what that journey looks like. And along that journey, there are a lot of different kinds of next adventures. So when you think about somebody envisioning their to-dos that they still want to do, whether it's in or out of the business, and then also just the thought of being and not basically being let down by leaving or helping somebody else take over, not being let down by selling and shifting potentially even their relevance.
Yeah.
How do you see that? And what's your experience there?
Yeah, you and I could have we could have a much longer conversation about this, I'm sure. Yeah,
because that's a big question.
You've seen a lot of different versions of this, and I've seen a few different versions of it myself. I find that the thing that is most helpful when someone's thinking about that is that they're focused on where am I going to, as opposed to what am I leaving behind. Because if they're just thinking about, the kids have been putting pressure on me, or I'm getting, it's a really good time to sell. And so if I don't sell now, I'm going to leave money on the table. It could be any number of those. But if you're focused on what you're giving up, then after that point, you're going to be lost. You're going to be like, I have no idea what's next. I haven't had time to think about it. I'm no longer important because I'm not running this company anymore. That identity crisis, right? And some version of that's going to happen anyway, but it's easier if you know, I'm going to move into, building a family office, or I'm going to create a foundation, or I'm going to think about more of these legacy things, or I'm going to write a book, or, whatever, just this next thing that will engage me and feel, like it's meaningful for me. Like I want to do it because I want to do it, not because someone else expects me to or wants me to.
Yeah. And that's a huge point when you're wandering through this transition, because so many times I think we talk about building the transition in a vacuum.
Mm.
And we've coined the phrase transition 3.0, where you actually, instead of using the first two versions where nobody finds out until, either when it happens, version 1,
Yeah.
or version 2 is when you have it completely designed. And
right.
then you tell
this
everybody,
is how it shall be.
That's right. This is how it's going to work, everybody. Yeah. That's version 2.0. But 3.0 is where you design it together. Your successors, your transitioners,
because those people are going through their own transition.
Well, and they're the
they
ones
might have opinions.
Well, and they're the ones that are going to take it forward, and they're going to live with it. And it literally is going to be their next adventure. And it's going to be different than what yours was, because the business is different. The assets are different. So, but just that idea of, being able to understand the why behind it, your why first and foremost, if you're the transitioner, and enjoy having something like a reason for passing this forward. There's a goodness somewhere versus the pressure or what's expected of you, or what you think the market is going to be, and doing it out of fear sometimes, or just again meeting other people's expectations instead of taking the time to look at yours. Yeah. I just find so many times when people come in, and they'll say, I don't know what I want. And it's great for them to be able to say that, knowing that they're going to start exploring what they want and what they want to do and how they want to be.
Well, and can they let go of what was, if whether it's kids or purchasers or whatever, they're going to make decisions differently than you would have.
Yeah.
And how are you going to be with that? And if you don't have that next thing figured out with you're going to be that person who's like calling them up and say, so how's it going? Can I help out at all? Can I,
yeah.
No.
Or can I walk in and criticize you and tell you everything that's going to go wrong because I've tried that before and it didn't work 25 years ago. Right. Yeah. When technology wasn't here. So just some of those funny things that, we know we all have them. It's just when you get into it and you're actually experiencing that journey, it feels so different than when you're sitting on the outside watching and thinking, oh yeah, that's going to be me someday. When you're in it, it's very different.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it's really an emotional journey, not, you're looking at it from the outside from more of an intellectual perspective. Like how did that ever happen? What were they thinking? I would never do that. And then,
and then there you are doing the same thing because you're emotionally distraught. Yeah. And you haven't prepared. Yeah. And I think that, going through any kind of a shift in life it's a journey to get from one side of transition to the other.
Yeah.
Whether you're coming into something new or leaving something in the past. But just a foundation that I've always found is, if you have a compelling, exciting, clear next adventure that you're looking forward to, that you're going to love, likely the journey is going to be easier and it's going to be a lot more fun and successful.
Yeah. Definitely, because you're moving toward this new life and you're also leaving behind this old life. And that's true every step of the way. I don't care if it's a founder who's finally building a leadership team and letting them run things. I mean, that's, they're having to let go of a lot of day-to-day stuff versus the person who's actually, selling the business and stepping away. That's a whole different kind of transition, but they're all changes in self and values and identity. And, the more clear you are about where you're going and where you want to go, the easier it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you really focus on helping people live an incredible life, one that feels alive and exciting, so that they can feel purpose and also have impact in the world. And I just have been connected to you ever since I met you.
Well, likewise. We've had some great conversations, Elizabeth, and I always appreciate the time together.
Oh, yeah. And the time always goes so fast. So let me ask you one last question that I always love asking. For our listeners and people who are trying to figure out how to be a transitioner, a successor, go through this transition and lead their businesses and their teams along the way, if you could leave them with one thing to keep in mind as they start to navigate this or in the middle of it, what would be one thing that comes to mind that you think would be great for them to remember?
The thing that comes to mind in this moment is there are going to be a lot of people who are going to try to get you to move faster. And they generally will have an agenda in making you want to move faster. And just be aware that it's up to you. You can slow down. You can get clear. Be really clear on what you want. Be really clear on if you're selling, what is the business worth? What are you willing to walk away from? There are so many stories, and I know this is true in your community too, of people who had the courage to say no to an offer and then, a year later got an offer for twice as much. Yeah. And everything is designed to if you don't do it now, you may lose out on blah, 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 blah. Just slow down and get really clear on, you'll know what to do if you're able to slow down and be present and still and get in touch with that.
Yeah. Gosh, that's such good advice for everyone. Oh, Jeff, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing all of this knowledge and for this conversation. Just appreciate you more than you know. And if you want to get in touch with Jeff Munn, his information will be in the show notes so that you'll have all his contact and you'll be able to connect with him. And my invitation to you is always to explore, take a step forward. Just keep moving. Yeah. That's how things work. So do something.
Exactly. You don't learn by getting stuck in your head. You learn by taking small actions and seeing what happens.
Yeah. Being an entrepreneur is always an experiment every day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Jeff, be well. And thanks again for being here.
Take care, Elizabeth. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Transition Roadmap. If you're ready to start shaping your own transition strategy, which I'm really hoping that you are, our team at the Transition Strategists would love to offer you a free discovery strategy session where you can explore what might be good for you and just some new ideas. We've got a new perspective and a new approach with people first. And a lot of what we talk about, nobody has ever really done before. So I want to encourage you to think about that and to go to transitionstrategist.com/discovery to schedule your call if you are even curious. It's free, no pressure. We'd love to talk to you. And by the way, if you're a successor or if you've got one in your business, you'll also want to check out for sure Your Next Gen Friend, A Successor's Guide to Business Transition. It's a podcast that's hosted by my successor, Andrea Carpenter. She's incredible. And this one is specifically designed for rising leaders in family businesses. So thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on the Business Transition Roadmap.